Now let's take a look at Terraform commands. For you to begin running Terraform commands, you must have your AWS credentials set up. And the credentials which we are looking at is your AWS secret access key and your AWS access key. So if you don't have secret access key and access key, it'll be difficult for you to run Terraform commands. For you to get your access key, you come to your AWS environment, you click on users, access key, you come to your AWS environment, you come to IAM, Identity and Access Management Service, and then you click on users. Once you click on users, you select the user that you want to give access key or secret access key to. So let me take Wawa user. I click the user. If you don't yet have any existing user, you can go ahead to create a user. And for you to create a user, you can check our module on how to create a user. You can just click here and create user. Now, once I select Wawa user, you come to security credentials. You click on security credentials. Now, once you click on security credentials, you need to get a secret access key. Now, secret access key or access keys are used to send programmatic calls to AWS from the AWS CLI. Remember, we said Terraform is a CLI, a command line interface tool. Now, AWS tools for PowerShell, AWS ADKs, or direct API or direct AWS API calls, you can have maximum of two access keys. Now, once I already have an access key here, which I'm using in my environment, for you to actually have your own access key, which you'll be using to set up your Terraform environment, you click on Create Access Key. Now, once you click on Create Access Key, they're going to ask you if you want to use this access key for command line interface or for local code or whatever the case. So you select command line interface, and then you take I understand the terms and conditions. So you take next, you give the name of the key. So you can call this key Terraform access key. When you give the name of the key, Terraform access key, you click on create key. Now, once the key is created, you make sure you download this key, the access key and the secret access key, because those are the two important information that you'll be needing to set up your Terraform environment. To proceed, let's first download Terraform. As far as Terraform is concerned, you can get Terraform for Mac OS, or you can get Terraform for Windows, or you can get Terraform for Linux. So for you to download Terraform, you come to a new browser. Let's open a new browser, download Terraform. Once you type download Terraform, you now see like you now come to the website, install Terraform, and you click on it, install Terraform, the first link. Now, if you are using a Mac OS, if you are using an Apple computer, a MacBook, you can use these two commands: brew tab, HashiCorp, and then now brew install tab. So I'm using MacBook. If I was to run these commands in MacBook, I copy this and I search for my terminal. So I search for terminal, and then once the terminal opens, this is what it looks like. Let me increase the zoom. Once the terminal opens, I paste the commands. Once you paste the commands, it is going to install Terraform. You see Ruby brew. So the first command is running brew install and stuff. So once you run the commands, it's going to automatically install Terraform. That is if you're using an Apple computer. If you're using a Windows computer, you download the Terraform here and you follow the installation steps. For a Windows computer, you download the Terraform file here and you follow the installation steps. And if you're using Linux operating system, maybe you want to set up Terraform in your Ubuntu system or in your CentOS system or in your Fedora, or you want to set it up in an Amazon EC2 Linux instance, you use this set of commands to download Terraform. Once your installation is complete, we are going to access VS Code and set up our configurations. So the second thing, we are setting up our environment. in VS Code. So for us to set the environment up with VS Code, we open VS Code, you can maximize this. Once you maximize this, you come to terminal on VS Code, you click on new terminal, and when you click on new terminal, you can also make the zoom, you can increase the size. And once you click on new terminal, you want to make sure that you're in the home directory. So cd to the home directory, can clear. Now once you're here, the first command which you should run is the aws configure command. AWS configure. This is because we want to set up our credentials for the command line interface. So you run AWS configure. Once you run AWS configure, you hit enter. Now they're going to ask you for an AWS access key ID. Once they ask for an AWS access key ID, you come back to your console, you copy the access key ID that you created. You copy the access key ID and then you paste. Now, the second thing they'll ask you for is the AWS secret access key. Once they ask you for the secret access key, you come back to your AWS console and you copy the secret access key and then you paste. Once you paste the secret access key, they'll ask you now for the default region. For you to know the default region in which you're working in, you come here to the AWS console and you pick the region that you're working in. Now, the default region specifies the region in which all your resources will be created. So you want to pick the right default region. So it could be US East 1, US East 2, US West 1, US West 2, and so on. So let's just take the US East 1 region, US East 1 region. Then you take enter. Now the default output, you take JSON. Once you finish doing all of this, once you finish inputting all of this, you hit enter. Once you do this, you now have your AWS configured. Once you have AWS configured, the next thing is to verify if your Terraform has been properly installed. And for you to verify if your Terraform has been properly installed, you run the command terraform version, and it should give you the version of Terraform that you have installed. So as you run the terraform version command, it will give you the version of Terraform that is installed. So to wrap this up, you run the command aws configure to set up your access key and your secret access key, and then you run the command terraform version to confirm the version of Terraform that you have installed. Let's get started with the commands. The first command which we are looking at is the terraform init. Now, the terraform init basically gives you the possibility to initialize your workspace and to download Terraform plugins. So the terraform init command gives you the possibility to initialize your Terraform workspace and to download Terraform plugins. For you to run Terraform init, you must have Terraform infrastructure. So for you to run Terraform init, you must have Terraform infrastructure. Now, the second command which we'll be looking at is the Terraform plan. The second command we are looking at is the Terraform plan. Terraform plan shows plant changes, before applying. So this basically shows newly created resources. With Terraform, well, created or destroyed resources. So with Terraform init, you initialize your workspace. With Terraform plan, it shows all the plan changes before applying. That means before the resources actually are to be provisioned, it gives you a demonstration, or it shows you all the resources that are to be applied. The third command which we shall look at is terraform apply. And terraform apply applies the changes to create or modify infrastructure. So basically, the terraform apply is a command that actually applies all infrastructural changes to either create or modify your infrastructure. To either create or modify the infrastructure. So once you run Terraform apply, it's either going to create or modify your existing infrastructure. And the last command which we shall see is the Terraform destroy. So Terraform destroy basically deletes all resources created. So the moment you run Terraform destroy, it's going to destroy all the resources created in your environment. So you want to take note of the key Terraform commands. The first command we have is the Terraform init command that initializes our workspace. We have the Terraform plan command that shows the resources that are to be created, or that shows newly created or modified resources. We have the Terraform apply that is actually going to create or modify the infrastructure. And lastly, we have Terraform destroy that is going to tear down the resources. So we are going to see all these commands once we start creating our resources using Terraform.